As you can see, the hood is off, which means I'm about to start working on the engine. Suspension wise, everything's pretty much done. It's running 19 inch on the front, 20 inch on the rear. I also upgraded the calipers, or not the calipers, the rotors. It's got BC Racing coilovers. All the suspension components have been painted. Inside, it's got the Corvette Evolution X seats and the 5-point harness. It also has the harness bar. Got the Momo steering wheel and the Hirsch short shifter, which is a lot stiffer than my C6 short shifter. It also has the Kenwood in-dash flare. I custom made that piece right there, the trim to fit it, and then I painted it with wrinkle paint, which actually looks really cool. And even though it looks really textured, it's really smooth to the touch. The trunk just has my kicker system, which a lot of people do. I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about this, and that's fine, just post them in the comments. But I hated the way these HVAC controls looked, so after spending a lot of time looking to replace them, finally I just got tired of it because nothing existed, and I relocated into the glove box. Not too complicated of a process. You just snip off the connector, solder on new wires, and then run the wires pretty much behind there and into the glove box. There's a plug in the glove box that you can just pop out, run the wires through there, solder the connector back on, and then plug it into the HVAC controls. It is a bit of a pain in the ass to change them, especially with the 5-point harness. So if you are driving and you want to change your AC controls, you do have to release tension on the harness to be able to get to them. But other than that, you can just close the glove box and no more ugly HVAC controls. But as you can see, like I mentioned earlier, the hood is off, so the engine is next. When you start working on the project, you realize how much stuff you're actually missing. Just took off a couple bolts and instantly I started remembering the stuff that I really need. So the first thing that I needed to buy was cam lubricant, and the other was this assembly lube that helps with rocker arms, lubrication, and lifters and springs and that kind of stuff. The other thing that I realized that I broke because I dropped it a few times was my torque wrench, so I had to stop by and get a new torque wrench. Once I removed the intake, I realized that the condenser is on top of the radiator, which means I either have to remove the condenser, or as the forums are saying it, either drop it or lift it out of place. I kind of want to test out the forums knowledge and see if we're actually going to have to remove this or not. The reason why I would have to move this out of place, as you can see from this angle, once I start removing everything from this side, pretty much the water pump and throttle body and everything, trying to get to the camshaft, I'm gonna have to move this out of place to be able to push the camshaft through. I'm gonna go ahead and continue working on this front. I'm gonna try to remove this piece of plastic right here that covers AC condenser. I'm gonna try to remove the radiator, the fan, and then hopefully I can drop this condenser. It looks like it's movable. Before that, I'm probably gonna have to, well, definitely gonna have to drain the radiator, disconnect some hoses, and I should have very good access to the front at that point. Little surprise, when I pulled that drain, nothing came out of that thing, and everything's coming out of the back. I just removed the whole thing. I'm just letting it completely come out right now, all the fluid. So there's the coolant right there. Well, it's been another 10 minutes and it's still draining, believe it or not. So I'm going to start working on removing the coils. I guess the spark plug wires are just way too old. I mean, I hardly pulled on it and it snapped it. Removing the driver's side coils, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's one all the way behind there. I think you can see it. But at this angle, it looks like I'm gonna have to remove the alternator in order to get to that properly. Start taking off some of these hoses right here. I went ahead and removed this one. Pretty simple, just squeezed on the clamp and pulled it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and slowly but surely start taking off some of these so that I can finally remove the radiator and the fan. Slowly.
Whoa, look at that sea dragon!
Sea dragon? No. Just so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better.
With a little bit better.
Removed a bunch of these connectors from the back of the fan, and I was finally able to get to this point. Now that the fan's out, I went ahead and just moved this fat piece of wire from under here to over here, and from what it looks like, everything else has been disconnected, so I should be able to just pull the radiator off. That large hose that connects to the thermostat was just hooked around these wires, so it took some muscling to get it under or undone. I was really trying to be careful not to accidentally bend any of these lines and cause it to start just shooting a bunch of crap everywhere. So yeah, this is where we're at right now. And there it is. And now I just have to disconnect the spark plug wires, and I'll be able to remove this coil packet right up top. Okay, here's a step back a little. I don't know if this is gonna spray or not. No, step back. Step back over there. Thank you. Okay. No, it's just, that's it. There's really nothing. Why? No, we don't want to put oil out. I think we're also going to have to remove these two waterline hoses from the throttle body. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect that right now and pull them out. Looks like this may cause a little bit of an issue right here. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it from there as well and remove this. I think it's just a little clip right there. Well, I think it's finally time to start removing these bolts for the intake manifold. I have a lot of room in here, so I'm just going to step inside. Oh, it's pretty light. Now that we've almost gotten it out, that right there, connected to that. So, just remove that clip, and then take us out. Manifold is out, and I cannot believe how dirty this crap really is. Whoa. Look at all that. To really clean that big time. In order to remove the harmonic balancer, I have to remove the steering rack, which is going to be great. Now, continuing on, I'm going to remove the thermostat. Just 2 bolts right there. I've already started. So let's do that next. And the thermostat is out. Alright, well, I'm in the process of removing the water pump. Looks like there's a bolt right there, bolt right there, another couple. Gotta see if those actually go to the end. It looks like it. And there we go, the water pump is out. Get this gasket off as well. I'll leave that over there with the water pump. Yeah, takes up a lot of room. There's the timing chain cover. And I wish I could somehow remove this without removing this. looks like there's no way. The more I look at it, the more this is just gonna be a big pain. I only have a limited amount of time. My birthday's coming up, so I gotta get this car registered when it's done. But so I'm gonna be going into overtime over the next few weeks trying to really get this thing finished completely. So yeah, now that every time I take more stuff off, I can see more stuff that I gotta remove. So of course, one of the things I forgot that I have to remove are the headers. So we'll see how easy that's gonna be. So that means I'm gonna have to drop the entire exhaust. If I'm doing that, I don't know if I'm gonna replace them, put some aftermarket headers. Time for some quick decisions. If I have everything already taken apart, why not, you know? All right, so time to remove the steering rack. And I already put the car up on jack stands. But while I was at it, I don't think I ever showed you guys what I did with the suspension. So as you can see, everything, all the rust has been removed. Took everything off, painted it either black or silver. I got rid of the leaf springs, and I put these BC Racing coilovers for the independent suspension, installed new brake lines, and painted the calipers red, and new rotors. So there's that side. And similarly, on this side, looks the same. Now, I think what I have to do is remove that. There's a couple of bolts that I see over there. Some power steering lines that I have to remove. And I'm gonna try to yank this thing out outside of the driver's side wheel well over here. And as you can see, we have to disconnect that bolt right there because it's kind of like a clamp that holds basically that steering column in place. I'm finding it really difficult to get to those lines down there. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that bolt and this one, see if I can somehow move this thing out of the way. Move this thing out of the way a little bit, and I was able to reach that top one, which I'm unscrewing right now. Just used an 18mm wrench to get it loose, and pushing it out of the way. Took about 15 minutes, maybe 20. I was just slowly, meticulously taking them out, but I got it loose. The second one up top, and then I was also kind of turning it maybe 1/16 of an inch every single time from the bottom as well, and then alternating. And finally I was able to kind of angle the wrench and start going at it from the top to the point where I got it removed. Right there. So initially I just attached a piece of tube actually from my floor jack to this just to get it started. And now it's coming off. I mean, it's almost to the point where I can just remove it by hand. Alright, both of the lines are out. Good God, that was painful. Well, actually all four. Disconnected all four. And removed them. Now I'm just going to remove that bolt. And I honestly think that's it. I can drag it out of the, slowly out of the driver's side, because I don't really have much side on my passenger side. To move it out of the driver's side, the steering rack, you're going to have to drop the crossmember because it gets stuck and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So, started pushing it out the passenger side, and I've gotten it to that point. Pretty sure I can wiggle it out of there, but I'm not even going to attempt. I'm just going to kind of leave it right here. I have access to this, and that way it's going to be easier for me to push it back once I change this harmonic balancer. Okay, I think I'm going to disconnect this metal tube next and start working on getting close to removing or disconnecting the headers. Just pull that piece out so this whole piece comes out. I'm going to do the same thing right here, but as you can see, this tube is not going to be removed, so I'm just going to push it out of the way. So this one's been disconnected, and it's completely metal, so I think that's about as far as I'll go, just disconnect it from that. 2 out of the 3 came out, and one of them broke. But hey, at least this is disconnected, so I can still pull it out. So that piece, that wire, is not attached to the header. And there's the header. Looks a lot easier to work on with this side header removed. I guess time to repeat the same process on the passenger side. And actually it wasn't too bad. I think it took me 10 minutes to remove everything. I actually didn't remove the dipstick. I was able to thread it through. And even looking at it right now, let's see if we can see. I don't know, maybe it's just rusted. But this thing is not coming loose. I don't know how people take it out of the engine. So it's just gonna stay there. I did get a little bit smarter. Got myself an AC system. Primarily because my son's in here the entire time. What are you playing with?
Subaru.
And?
Bad guy's truck.
Bad guy's truck. Okay. Well, today I'm going to try to get the heads removed, and we'll see if anything else. But that's the plan for today, anyways. Just get the heads removed and be on our way. Bolts unscrewed, and yep, that just pops out right there. So there we go. Valve cover is off, and the passenger side valve cover, valve cover is off. Okay, so the first one is out. There it is. No damage to the bolt. Basically, what I did is I used this. I put it inside this long metal tube that attaches to my jack right there. And I just pulled because by itself, man, that thing is tied down tight. I have noticed by no car sounds in the background, my son went to get a haircut. So, back over here, I went ahead and removed all 8 of the driver's side rocker arms. So now, I'll just continue on. Moving it by hand. I think I can just feel everything a little better. It's not tight at all. So once that's out, just pull this whole thing out, and the bolt's still in there. At the same time, I can also remove that push rod. It's tight. Heads. Yep, there it is. Good. Okay, now that the head is out, let's get the gasket off. Okay. It's like 10mm bolts to get the lifter retainer cups out. We're good, Harrison. We're good. Alright. And the assembly is out. So I do believe we should be able to just pull this out now. Let's see. gasket fell out. And then nothing else with that, so we're good. I have both of the heads removed, and I'm gonna start working on the harmonic balancer. Afraid now. The breaker bar is gonna snap in half. Alright, so after a very painful 10 minutes trying to break it loose, I tried the electric save-all impact wrench, but it wasn't working. So finally I put the breaker bar in, started from about right here, and shifted it all the way to the left. And I honestly thought the breaker bar was going to break. I mean, it was flexing big time. I had to attach another attachment to it. But finally, after all that, it just let loose. And now I can just remove this bolt by hand. Everything still looks pretty good. That's moving, if I'm not mistaken. We'll keep going. At this point, I had to readjust the bolt. The instructions said thread it in 4 full turns. I went ahead and did 8. But as you can see, it's coming out. So now it's at 4 turns since it's already almost out, and I'm about to reattach that tool to yank this pulley out. Okay, so after trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to get this thing out, I'm going to give this thing a shot. This is my cheapo one. Hopefully it doesn't slip. But I could get that bigger bolt in there and just go carefully, I guess. Try to make sure this thing doesn't slip anywhere. Can't believe it. They got it off. The cheap one. Cheap puller. Got it off. Awesome. Oh man. Honestly, taking off this crankshaft pulley, when I got down to everything, it took about an hour. I mean, it's that much of a pain. Those are the heads?
Yes.
Nice. Where did they come from?
They come from Bubba's head.
That's Bubba's heads?
Yes.
Or where did they come from? Where did I take this off from?
The Corvette.
The Corvette? Nice. You know your stuff.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. So now I'm going to get the oil pump off and timing chain. And then get the cam out. That right there is matching up with that one. That one has, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it does have a notch on it. Right there. Luckily I didn't have to wedge anything in there. I just literally grabbed the oil pump, twisted it a little, and it just popped out. At that point I just grabbed this with my finger, pushed it down slightly, and it was good. Alright, let's see if we can see this top dead center. See that notch now? It's a lot easier to see. There we go, timing chain is out. Actually zip tied it to here and we're good to go. Let's take off the cam retainer plate, which is held by these 4 10mm bolts. Okay, bolts are out. And the plate, if it doesn't come out as easily, just push it with a screwdriver a little bit. And there it is. It's out. And there's the camshaft. Ready to come out. So I went ahead and put the water pump bolts in there because they're the same size. And apparently you can just start turning this slowly and pulling it. Yep, it starts coming out. It gets caught every once in a while. And as soon as it does, you pull it out a little bit more and it just keeps coming out. Cam is out. It only took about a minute. So once you start pulling it out, you're gonna have to turn it like everybody says, and just go gently. And once you get to the AC condenser, I'm trying to show you how I have my AC condenser. It's basically pushed back as far as I can, and it hits right here. At that point, I just put the camshaft towards the bottom and took it out. Really no effort whatsoever. I thought it was going to be a little bit more difficult than that. But yeah, pretty much besides the exhaust, everything that I needed to have removed has been removed. So now it's just time to clean this crap off and start installing the new parts. Try to get rid of as much of that rust as possible. Paint it with that rusted black primer, and then repaint it black. So just to get rid of all that rust. Put a few of the things back. Same thing, just reverse order. And I went ahead and, like I said, I've been cleaning big time. As you can see on this side, I also went ahead and painted the frame again. Just kind of compare it to the other side. The passenger side was way worse than this side, but it's looking pretty good. Alright, I went ahead and cleaned the cylinders and pistons a little bit. Painted the driver's side as well. Came out pretty good. As you can see, everything is nice and shiny black now. Same as the passenger side. So what I'm gonna do next, since I really can't stand for me to get this far and not completely clean up the rest of this stuff, I think what I am gonna do is everything that's visible like that, I'm gonna try to paint. So I realized that I have some caliper paint left over, which is what I used to paint all this stuff right here. So I'm gonna do everything in silver and black over here. So I'm gonna be spending a little bit of time in the basement so that I can paint the rest of the stuff, but I think you guys have seen on video anyways, the headers and X pipe, as well as a harmonic balancer. There it is right there. I guess that came out pretty decent. So I just finished painting them. There's still a very tiny bit of red that pops out on a couple of different angles, but I am 100% okay with it. It actually looks really good. So it's gonna go with the overall theme of the entire engine. Okay, so majority of my time initially is gonna be spent underneath here, cleaning and painting the stuff underneath here. We do have the trusty sidekick, Jackie. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy, Jackie? What are you doing? What are you doing? That's a good boy. But yeah, we'll begin right here, and I think I'm gonna paint most of this in silver. After cleaning, it took another 2 hours to paint it all, but as you can see, no more of that oxidized look. Everything is just nice and silver now. Painted everything over there. And underneath as well, you can see what that kind of looks like. Let's see if we can get a better angle. There we go. Let's check out the other side. This one was a little bit more of a pain, just because of everything that's surrounding it, but I was still, nonetheless, I was able to get everything. It's gonna be a real challenge once we get to these parts, because this is just covered. But in the end, once I got this pretty clean, looks like there's still just, I mean, this is natural blemishes, so I'm just gonna paint over it with silver engine paint before I remove this seal and and put it back on. Okay, so it took about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, but it's been thoroughly cleaned. Painted the timing chain cover. There was a couple of spots that I'm not too happy with. I'm debating whether to wait for it to dry and sand it, repaint it over those spots, which I'm probably going to do, or just leave it as is, which most likely I will not do. Now it's just time to finish cleaning this. I squirted that bolt with a rusted black primer, and as soon as it's finished cleaning, well, as soon as I'm finished cleaning, not it's finished cleaning, I'm just gonna paint over it and just paint the alternator, and that'll be it. I installed the first two valve springs, which, God, isn't as simple as it sounds. You would think everything would just line up perfectly and it would fit through, but the tool, it moves around a little bit and the valves don't line up with the valve springs, so when you're trying to put the locks in, it just won't go in. So I really had to think outside the box on this one. So we're tightening it down. As you can see, it is compressing compared to the other ones. It's not going to go too far. I think that's about good right there. So now that that's there, we're going to grab a hammer and we're going to smack it. The gentle tap so it releases the locks from the valves. You can see it already did it. These come out. Basically now what we can do is just let off the tension off of this. And the reason why we need to replace the valve seals with these two-piece valve seals, as you can see, here's the original one, and it fits on there perfectly when I put it on there. The new titanium ones are actually two springs. If you put it on top of this, as you can see right there, it doesn't go all the way down. So we need a two-piece valve seal system. So let's continue on. So I went ahead and lubricated this right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it on here. You screw this little piece in ever so slightly. Then you put the tool over it, and you wedge something in between there, and you basically press it down. And that's it. No hammering, no nothing. As you can see, it's in there. So the new titanium valve springs have been installed on this head anyways. One more head to go. But just gotta walk you through everything so far. Just starting from, I guess, this corner. Heads, pretty much done with what I wanted to do. Replaced the spark plugs, and I also replaced the valve springs. The valve covers have been painted. All the valve cover bolts have been cleaned. The harmonic balancer has been painted. The exhaust itself has been painted to that matte black finish, and the timing chain cover has been painted silver. So after letting it sit, looks pretty good. I'm not going to touch it anymore. So I'm just going to install it after I replace that front engine seal. Okay, let's get this exhaust removed. So going underneath the car, first thing, we're going to have to get the oxygen sensors removed. So what I found out is you could just use a 7/8 wrench, go around it, and then break it loose, and then just unscrew it. And here's the other remainder of that exhaust. So there are the mufflers, which I do have both of the stock mufflers, and the original OE catalytic converters, and I guess, I don't know if this is called X pipe or H pipe, whatever they call it. Okay, so the first coat of gold has been applied to the big pulley. The second coat has been applied to the small pulley. And the first coat of red on the inside that basically goes on top of that pulley has been applied as well. So yeah, just waiting for it to dry a little bit right now and time to apply the second coat. Came out looking pretty good. There we go. Just has to be reassembled and attached onto here. Alright guys, there we go, finally finished. Reassembled it. Looks pretty good. Everything's nice and clean. That piece is gold. So yeah, not too bad. Alright guys, we're about to start installing, which I can't believe is actually happening. The day has come. So what are we going to start off with? We're going to start off with, of course, the camshaft. Now for the dirty part. Just go ahead and get all this lube onto here. It's going pretty easy. This lubricant is definitely very lubricanty. That's even a word. So it's pretty much coated on every surface at this point. So now we're just going to go ahead and pop it in. Alright, cam ready to go in. As you can see, on one side there's 2 holes, on the other one there are 3 holes, double pin. Obviously the one with the 3 holes goes in here. So right now we're just going to move this. It's in. Whew. As you can see, I didn't even use the bolts because I forgot them. Alright, so next we're going to reattach this cam retainer plate. As you can see, there's a gasket right there. And it's just going to go over the cam like that. Okay, so this is the next step, installing this cam gear. There's the bottom portion. Yeah, see that bottom dot, top dot. It's good to go. Alright, so I think this is where the difficult part comes in. Now, we're going to have to take this off, now that it's lined up. Okay, put the timing chain on the crankshaft. Then, put the cam gear on. Onto the timing chain. Okay, that's not good. Not good either. That's not good. That's not good. That looks about right. And I think it's back on. Just double check. Yeah, dots line up. The bottom, there's that dot, there's that dot. So it's lined up. Chain goes around here and around the cam gear. Everything's lined up perfectly. Yep, there we go. Alright, so next is the oil pump. Here's the old oil pump, which I won't be using. And here's the new oil pump. So what I'm going to do with this new one is take some engine oil and just pour some in here. Oh, there it is. Now that all the bolts have been installed, we just got to tighten them down to 18 foot-pounds. There it is. And it popped out finally. So yeah, that's the seal. So it does have to be smacked quite hard to get it to come out. But as you can see, it does come out. So now we're just gonna put the new seal in. Just pop the new seal back in there. Just press it in there. And I do have an old table tennis racket. So there we go, it's in. Alright, with the new gasket on here, let's go ahead and slide this on there. And let's get rid of one of our bolts. Put it through the gasket. And screw it into the block. Alright, on today's cooking show, we're going to be warming up the harmonic balancer to 250 degrees. Well, I don't know if it's going to be warmed up to 250 degrees, probably a lot less. But we're going to preheat the oven to 250 and then put the harmonic balancer in there for about 20 minutes so that it's easier for it to slide onto the crankshaft over there. Okay, so the pie is done. Let's see how long this thing goes on here. It's not really going on there all extra smooth. Push it on there by hand or by rotating. I think that's about as good as it gets. Alright, so let's put the bigger bolt in here. And let's tighten this thing down. So we won't go too far. Let's see. I'll go a little bit further. And then we'll switch it out for that. For the stock bolt. And let's see how the old crank bolt slides in here. Oh yeah, there's a lot more space now. That's good. So we'll just keep going. We get it fully in there. There we go. Alright, time to start tightening this one down. Alright, we'll keep trying. Take the breaker bar and just push it out just ever so slightly. Alright, so I'll just attach the breaker bar. Push it down a little bit more. Okay. Alright. Now, time to get the torque wrench. Set it to 240 and then try to torque this thing down to 240. Man. Okay. Let's try it again. Oh my God. This is not an easy thing to do. I'll just let you know that. Man. I don't know how much further I can go. Take a little breather and then try it again. Okay, so after resting just a little bit, let's see if we can do this again. Oh, snap. Got it. 240. Nice. Make sure nothing moved. Let me try that again. Yep, 240. Cool. Alright, now time to break the bolt out. Alright, let's see how difficult it will be to break it out now. Hopefully not as bad as before. got it. All right, bolt's coming out. Hopefully still warm from the heating. Oh, there it is. Harmonic balancer's back on. Now let's get the new bolt and finish off the job. So let's go ahead and tighten it to 37 foot-pounds. That's it. Just make sure one more time. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Okay, let's see how far it's gone. Still gotta do more. How far that went. Almost there. Let's check. Okay, I think that's about right on the money. It's not 140, then it's 135. And I see 90, 180, it's about between 90 and 180, so 45. Between there is 135, maybe 140, I'm not 100% sure. I think we got it. I think this is it. Okay, now that we got the harmonic balancer on, the timing chain cover is centered, so we'll just tighten down the bolts, first by hand, and then use the fork wrench to get them down to 18 foot-pounds. Okay, so I think what I'm going to start doing now is putting the heads back in. And I'm going to start off, of course, with the lifters. I'm going to be applying that same cam lubricant, because it's cam and a lifter installation lube, to the top of the lifters and putting them in. Let's take that off. And as you can see, I've already lubricated it with that cam and lifter lubricant. So that's just going to slide right in there. And there they are. Now let's torque both of these down to 106 inch-pounds. Alright, so let's put the head gasket on next. If you look at the head gasket, your new head gasket, it does say front on one of them. It should line up with these holes at the bottom. These, I think they're called dowels. And so they kind of slide right over that. And as you can see, this gasket has been installed. There it is. Okay, so here's the new one. Just slide it on there. Okay. It's all the way on. Yep. So we're good. Nice and gentle. Yep, we're good with this hose. This new one, down here. And let's install this last hose on here. Push it on. This. Alright, it's time to carefully place the heads back on. Got a coolant hose or something like that sticking in the way. Get it out of the way. It's like a very heavy and expensive thing that you don't want to drop. Bottom. There it is. They're back on there. Or that one is anyways. Whew. Took some wrestling, but it's seated on there nicely.
Hi.
Say, how's it going? Are you working on the heads?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be mounting this thing in?
Yeah.
Nice. What is this?
Head.
That's right.
What's another head?
The other head we're gonna get and we're gonna put it on the other side. You ready for this?
Sure.
All right, let's do this. There it is. Guys, so pretty much to show you how I'm doing this, in order to get enough torque on this, I literally have to be standing on top of the engine with the extension and the torque wrench in hand. So I'm about to start working on the fifth one. Oh, the fifth one. Is this the fifth one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Alright, so I got the fifth one in there. So now I got to turn it 90 degrees. And it's actually a pretty simple process
A little more.
once you have enough torque in here. Or once you have enough leverage. Alright, so I got all the bolts down, the long bolts anyways, bolts 1 through 8, down the additional 90 degrees, and bolts 9 and 10, which are short bolts, an additional 50 degrees. So now it's just time to torque down the top bolts, the 22 foot-pounds that's recommended. Rear side head fully torqued down. Time to move down to the passenger side head. I don't know if I got any more energy in me, but I guess we'll see shortly. Okay, second pass is complete. Got all of them, well, 10 of these at 90 degrees. Now it's time for the third pass. Getting the 8 an additional 90 degrees and 2 small ones, the 9 and 10s, an additional 50 degrees. And then of course start working on the top, working those down easily to 22. I'm putting in the rock arms, which I did label 1 through 16. Alright, so all the push rods are in on both sides. Now time to start adding the rock arms. If we can line this up first, there we go. And we're just going to hand tighten them down. Make sure they're centered across the mount spring before we start putting any kind of real pressure on them. I'll do this by hand for all of them, and then I'll grab the torque wrench. Alright, so I went and hand tightened all of the rocker arms, and like most things in this car, these bolts have to be torqued down to 22 foot-pounds. So I went ahead and installed all the rocker arms on this side too. So now time just to tighten them down to 22 foot-pounds. There's one. Okay, so for the next step, you gotta turn the engine over 720 degrees. Okay, so the engine's been turned over 720. I don't know. I'll have to check, see if they are 22 foot-pounds still. Alright, engine's been rotated an additional 360. So now, let's go ahead and check, make sure all the rocker arms are still at 22 foot-pounds. Just lay the intake manifold on top, but before I put it all the way back, I am gonna swap out these 2 coolant lines right here. Intake manifold has slid back into place. Okay, let's continue by plugging in some of these connectors and this, I think this is the evap system. That plugs in right there, just clips in. That goes in here somehow. Let's see. I should have done this one first. we go. And that clips in there. And then this part clips in to that. Right all the way back here. Just hold on to that. And there it is. Okay, now on the passenger side, we'll do a very similar process. Let's first connect that one right there. Push that clip through. Connect that injector, and this injector. Okay, so that piece has been reattached. From what it looks like, I mean, I kind of looked it over. I think we're going to start working on the steering rack next. So after wrestling with the steering rack for probably another 10 minutes, I was finally able to get the holes to line up there and there. Okay, next we'll reconnect the tie rod ends, which is as simple as sliding that up there. And we'll do the same thing on the other side and then put the bolt on. Okay, so this line comes out, goes down here, goes around. It actually attaches to the bottom one. Saw that it was slipping out from the top one, and when I put it in the bottom one, went in perfectly. I believe the next thing that I have to do is install the headers, since it seems like the next logical step. But try to see if anything else. In the meantime, the power steering pump, I'm going to do that afterwards, and the water pump. So let's go get the headers and we'll start working on those. Okay, let's start working. Alright, so I got the passenger side header in from the top, which I attempted from the bottom and then I lifted the car up. I mean, it's, let me see if you can see. The top right here is about chest high with me. And it just requires such a big angle that there's no way, so I knew I had to attempt this from the top or not succeed at all. And finally got the passenger side in through the top, which is freaking fantastic. Let's see how difficult the driver's side is after I bolt this thing out. Woo. 30 minutes and this header is finally in. Alright, to describe the process, what I had to do. I removed these two spark plugs right here, and then I removed this steering tie rod, whatever it's called, off, and then I was able to push the headers in from the top to a certain point. At the bottom it got stuck, so I grabbed the crowbar, which you can't see right now, and at the end I just kind of beat it with a hammer until it was inching forward, and I got it inched all the way to the point where I got to the top, hit it a few times with a hammer, and moved a little bit more, and went to the bottom again, got on that crowbar, hit it a few more times, and then it just finally fell in place. But I would say the driver's side is way more difficult than the passenger side. Two spark plugs, the second and the third one, have been installed. and torque down to 11 foot-pounds. Okay, at this point we're ready to slide this guy back in. So very carefully going around all this stuff. Make sure not to scratch anything up. Buy a new water pump and a new thermostat and a new tensioner, which is going to go right there. Okay, it's going to go position first, something like that. Okay, so I'm glad it sits there by itself. Okay. Alrighty. So after a couple more minutes of finessing, the radiator finally clipped in. You can see from the top. That's what it's supposed to look like. So there we go with that clip. That's got it. The thermostat coolant line has been reattached and tightened down, even though I really don't see the point in tightening it down, how difficult it was to put on there. Hopefully this slides in. Yeah, a lot easier than before. I'm actually gonna have to go grab the bolts right away. The other one kind of stood in place. This one is really loose. Coolant lines, that. What do you think?
Coolant pies?
Not coolant pies. Coolant lines.
Coolant pies. Alright. Let's try something else that's a hat.
Okay.
And they're tying over this. This is went to the key.
So both of these have been reattached.
Attach when try to open this. This is the 2 months run when this side or this.
Okay. Nice. You want to explain it?
Yes, 2 months of fired and chemical and then 14 and 18 and final 20.
Oh, perfect. I think they understood everything you just said. All right, if you didn't, tough luck.
Tough luck.
That's how you put the engine back together. Position that. I'm just going to tighten all the bolts. Then torque them down. It says 106 inch-pounds, so I'm just going to torque them down until they feel snug. That looks like it's it. So this piece is going to plug in behind here. Let's grab the other bolts. Let's pull the gasket up here. Snap these guys. Side snapped in. This. There we go. Looks like a Corvette engine again. Okay, next, I am going to be installing the intake. Last but not least, I put the air duct in. We're going to tighten it down there. We're going to tighten this one here. We're going to plug the mass airflow sensor in. Always has to realize which direction it goes. That one. Clip. Reattach down there. And that'll be it. Okay, so everything's been tightened down. The only thing left to do is do the remainder of the exhaust, which I'm about to do next. Put in all the fluids and crank her up. But the engine is done, with the exception of reattaching the hood. Coming up next, I'm about to screw the passenger and the driver's side oxygen sensors into the long tube headers. Now that we have the oxygen sensors in, next up we're going to put the catalytic converters on, which just basically pop in right there. with the gasket in between. Okay, exhaust has been installed. I did go and take the battery in to get it charged at Advanced Auto Parts. And while I was down there, I picked up all the necessary fluids. So I'm about to start pouring in the coolant, the engine oil, change the filter, and put in the power steering fluid. And right after that, I'll go back and pick up the battery and put it in and turn it on. Alright, so just finished adding 6.5 quarts of 5W3 Momo 1 fully synthetic. And let's move on to the coolant. Okay, all fluids have been filled. Took a little bit, especially the coolant. Letting it go down, filling it up again. Power steering, didn't fill it that much, but I'm assuming once I start turning it, I'm going to have to actually fill it up. The engine oil is, well, it's engine oil 6.5 quarts. So I'm about to go get the battery now and do the final turn. That was crazy. Time for the big attempt. Fingers crossed.